The King of the Monsters gets big. Really big. Here's your look at the Jakks Pacific Godzilla King of the Monsters 20-inch long Godzilla. Godzilla is the gigantic defender of Earth, a towering titan the size of a mountain who rises from the mysterious depths of the ocean to destroy all monsters that threaten our world. With a deadly heat breath blast and a tail strong enough to level entire buildings in one swipe, you can harness the epic power of Godzilla to battle all the dare that challenged his reign as King of the Monsters. Now we're going to go ahead and measure off Godzilla. As you can see, there's probably a whole lot to measure off. He's quite a large boy. We're going to go ahead and take the Ultra Measure 5000, measure off how tall and how long the King of the Monsters is. But while I'm doing that, I want to send out a big thank you to the folks over at Jakks Pacific, who was very nice enough to send a whole bunch of Godzilla toys my way, all of which we've been looking at in reviews up to this point, thus far, and future reviews as well. So thank you to Jakks. We're going to start by measuring to the very top of Godzilla's head. From his foot to the top of his head, you're looking at a figure that's a rather impressive 11.5 inches. 11.5 inches is how tall he is. Now in centimeters, we can go ahead and do that right now to appease the mob. You're looking at about a 30-centimeter tall lizard. Luckily not a real lizard. Luckily he's not real size either. 29.5 or 30 centimeters about, give or take, about. We're going to go ahead and switch that back to inches. We're going to measure off from his tail to the front of his head. And that seems like as good of a place as any. I'm going to stop the tape measure right there from his tail to the front of his nose to his snout. You're looking at Godzilla standing 22.8 inches long. This way, right here. And centimeters, that works out to be a little bit longer. Works out to be 57.9, so about 58 inches long. Mind you, the 20-inch long Godzilla doesn't start 20 inches long when you immediately get him out of packaging. There's a little bit of assembly that's required, and I've dismantled it just to show you how everything comes together. You have the thicker portion of the tail, and then you also have a slender portion of tail. Anybody who knows enough about tails will know that this slender portion goes into the longer portion, and then this will plug right into the back of Godzilla. To do this, you're just going to simply twist this in place. And I guess this is a good opportunity as well to show you guys that the back section of the tail is made up of what seems to be, as you can probably see in the video, a softer, more hollow feeling plastic. Gives a little bit extra give there. This part of the tail is made up of a denser plastic, as well as really the rest of Godzilla's body is also made up of that denser plastic. To complete the steps, a 3-part step, we're just going to twist this in place, twist it in place like that, and it couldn't be any bit easier. There you have Godzilla, fully assembled, fully 20 inches long, or whatever I measured it off with my tape measure. And let's have a look at the figure. Now, to look at the King of the Monsters, fittingly enough, it would be the toy company responsible for like a lot of the king-sized figures. Jakks Pacific have been known for producing really large figures, and they would be the perfect fit for this little bit of royalty to give us a really over-the-top, overly large-sized Godzilla. And let me just also tell you, too, there's a Godzilla that's bigger than this. We're going to do that in a future review, so stay tuned for that. But here we have Godzilla in a size, I think, that's accommodating to shelf space, to bookshelf space, to even something like if you've got like a little stand nearby your TV that you can put him on. And then, of course, like I said, there's going to be the larger Godzilla on top of that. Now, this one right here, as you can see, is a little bit harder to review because it's a little bit bigger in size. It has all the notable traits that the new updated Godzilla will have. Primarily like a big stockier body. He's definitely a little bit more thicker than some of the previous Toho Godzillas that we've seen in, so many decades ago, some of those classic films. This Godzilla definitely is a much more beefier figure, a beefier character design, but he still has really much notable traits, things of which you would recognize right off the bat with Godzilla. It seems to me like I should probably start at the head, so why don't we start at Godzilla's head. You have a really nice representation there of Godzilla. As you can see, his eyes have been painted in, his teeth have been painted in, and as well as his tongue on the inside there. Now, his mouth doesn't have any sort of posability. It's always going to stay open. One side of Godzilla, you can see all the texturing and scaling that he would have in the film, as well as these giant spiked platelets that stick out from his spine. To show you as well, these plates, these discs of bone, are of softer plastic. I don't feel like you would have the risk at all of poking your eyes out. Not to say that you should be running towards somebody with Godzilla spikes sticking in their direction. Godzilla doesn't have as much of paint as much as he does have really great looking sculpt. Unfortunately, though, on the one side, you have a fully finished Godzilla. On the other side, if you flip it around, you have a couple of little screw points. But luckily, those are tucked away enough in there in these holes that you can kind of see how everything would have been assembled together. Kind of wish, unfortunately, he didn't have those holes. But again, the way that some toy constructions are, this is just simply the way that they had to peg and attach Godzilla together. Now, he doesn't have a whole, like I said, lot of paint, favoring instead kind of like this bluish gray that we kind of already know Godzilla colors by now. He does get a little bit of a lighter wash, almost even like a dry brushing of gray there on the interior of his stomach and like around the areas of his neck, but he doesn't really have a whole lot happening here. I kind of actually dig the fact that he's got a little bit of a sheen to it. It looks as if like Godzilla has emerged from the ocean depths, and you can see kind of like his skin is a little wet as a result of that. Kind of liking that. I dig that. And while he doesn't have necessarily posability, like I said, in the head, Godzilla does have posability in his arms. They go to about there. They have a stopping point. You can kind of see how this section right here is a little bit smoother. It's the one section that doesn't have sculpting, whereas the outside of the shoulder does. It kind of tells you how much of an allowance you get when you rotate the arm. As you continue to rotate it, it sort of stops at that point. Same thing on this arm here. The arms don't hinge out, and then when you look at the legs themselves, the legs swivel back and forth as well. So in theory, you can have a more upright Godzilla. The only thing with having an upright Godzilla, though, is his feet, I should say, aren't firmly planted. If you want to have his feet more firmly planted, you'll probably want to do yourself a service by bringing those feet a little bit more further forward, and then you'll get a better footing when you put the Lizard King there on any, like I said, shelf or display surface. And speaking of his feet, let's have a quick gander at Godzilla's giant feet here. He's got some claws, much like his hands. A little bit larger, though, here for his feet. Kind of looks like here there would be an articulation point where you could swivel these back and forth, but that's not actually the case. And I'm liking the fact that Godzilla's feet, his under pads of his feet, have actually been sculpted. I like the fact that Jakks would have gone in there and sculpted out the feet. It's not something that, of course, you're ever going to really see for the way that you're displaying the Godzilla, but it's those small touches. It's those little small touches that I like. For an overly large dinosaur, that's the 20-inch long Godzilla. As I've said through a couple of these Jakks-specific Godzilla King of the Monster reviews, it's a really great time to be a Godzilla fan. I grew up watching the original Toho Godzilla films, and now to see the larger-than-life Godzilla fighting now various monsters in the upcoming release of Godzilla King of the Monsters, I am super excited. Jakks Pacific have shown in the past that they are the kings when it comes to creating larger-than-life toys, and Godzilla really is the perfect character, perfect candidate for a larger-than-life toy, something which the kids can carry around with them. And I just want to stress this as well. This is not the biggest Godzilla that Jakks Pacific has produced, just FYI. So if you guys are fans of Godzilla, you might want to be picking these ones up for yourself, as Godzilla King of the Monster toys are now in retail stores. Today we were having a look at another Jakks-specific Godzilla King of the Monsters. This happened to be the 20-inch long Godzilla. Now that's 20 inches after you've added the tail, of course, on all that, but still a 20-inch long spectacle that is the King of the Monsters, Godzilla. Now, if you guys want to go back and have a look at some of my other Godzilla King of the Monsters reviews that I've done up to this point, there's a playlist for that. Also, if you're new to this channel, and that's okay, you don't have to say that you're new. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. If you are new to this channel, though, and you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below. More videos like this, because we're going to be doing some more Godzilla King of the Monsters toys, FYI. So stay tuned for those, and as well, we're going to have some other videos coming your way as well. I say we. It's me. I'm going to have some more toys coming your way. So stay tuned, my friends and colleagues of the mob. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.